All right, good morning, everyone. Let's come to order and go on the record, please. I'm Charlotte Mitchell, Chair of the Utilities Commission, and with me this morning are the following commissioners. When I announce your name, please indicate your presence. Commissioner Brown-Bland.
Good morning.
Commissioner Gray.
Good morning.
Commissioner Clodfelter.
Yes, good morning.
Commissioner Hughes.
Good morning.
And Commissioner McKissick.
Morning.
All right, in compliance with the State Government Ethics Act, I remind members of the Commission of their duty to avoid conflicts of interest and inquire as to whether any member of the Commission has a known conflict of interest with respect to matters coming before us this morning. All right, the record will reflect that no conflicts have been identified, and we will proceed with public staff communications item P1. Ms. Profit, I believe we are with you.
Good morning. My name is Karen Profit with Public Staff Telephone and Water Division. Item P1 presents interconnection agreement and amendments filed by AT&T and Citizens Telephone Company between August 20th and September 18th. Public Staff has reviewed the filings and recommends that orders be issued approving the agreement and amendments effective on date they were filed. Public Staff has provided copies of the proposed orders to the Commission's legal staff.
Move approval of the recommendation.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that the item be approved as recommended by the public staff. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the roll for a vote. Indicate your support for the motion by saying aye and your opposition by saying no. Commissioner Brown-Bland.
Aye.
Commissioner Gray.
Aye.
Commissioner Clodfelter.
Aye.
All right, that's an aye for Commissioner Clodfelter. Commissioner Hughes
Aye.
and Commissioner McKissick.
Aye.
For the record, I support the motion as well, and the motion carries. All right, we will proceed with public staff electric item P1. Mr. Lawrence and Mr. Saylor.
Good morning. I'm Evan Lawrence with the Public Staff's Energy Division. Electric item P1 consists of certificates of public convenience and necessity to construct solar PV electric generating facilities and a registration to register a new renewable energy facility. The Public Staff recommends the Commission issue the certificates and accept the registration. Thank you.
I make a motion to approve. Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that the item be approved as recommended by the public staff. Any questions or discussion? All right, once again, with a roll call for the vote, indicate support by saying aye, opposition by saying no. Commissioner Brown-Bland.
Aye.
Commissioner Gray.
Aye.
Commissioner Clodfelter. I see him saying aye, but I cannot hear him, so we'll.
Spacebar is not working this morning, apparently. Aye.
Okay, Commissioner Clodfelter is an aye. Commissioner Hughes.
Aye.
Commissioner McKissick.
Aye.
And I support the motion as well, and the motion carries. All right, we will proceed with public staff water item P1. Mr. Franklin.
Good morning. My name is Mike Franklin. I'm engineer in the Public Staff Water, Sewer, and Telephone Division. Water item P1 is document W-049-26. A&D Water Services Incorporated and the Town of Rosamond filed an application with the Commission seeking authority to transfer A&D's water and wastewater utility services for the Sapphire Lake subdivision to the Town of Rosamond, which is exempt from Commission regulation. The transfer closed on July 31st, 2020, and the town has been billing customers since August 1st of 2020. A&D's Commission approved water and wastewater rates, and the town's water and wastewater rates and the impact to customers are as shown in the agenda item. The public staff has provided a proposed order and recommends that the Commission issue the proposed order requiring customer notice, specifying that the matter may be determined without public hearing if no significant protests are received subsequent to customer notice. Mr. Aubrey Deaver from A&D Water Services is in attendance, and in addition to myself is available to answer any questions.
Madam Chair, we have some questions that staff would like answered.
I think the chair is on mute.
Madam Chair, did you hear?
I did. Please proceed, Commissioner Brown Blaine, with your questions.
All right, my questions are for the companies. So, who's coming up to answer?
All right, Mr. Deaver.
I'm here.
Good morning, Ms. On September 28th, A&D Water Services filed an application to transfer. Has the transfer of the water and sewer system occurred?
The town of Roslyn is currently operating the facilities until this is resolved.
All right, and so what I'm looking to determine if the transfer actually occurred, and if so, what date was it closed on?
July
Oh, you telling me?
31st.
All right, so that's the actual closing date. Is that correct? That's an actual closing date. All right.
Yes.
Did the town pay AD&D the entire $200,000 purchase price at the closing, or only an initial payment of $50,000?
The initial payment of $50,000 is all they've given me.
Okay. And when is the remaining balance owed to be paid?
On the anniversary for the next 4 years or next 3 years.
So is that so that's equal installments over the next 3 years to get to the 200,000 total?
That's correct.
All right. Did either the company or the town notify the customers of the transfer and in the change in the rates?
I did notify the customers. The town of Roslyn should have notified them. I don't know if they did or not. I didn't know that the rates had changed.
All right. Thank you. Do you know when the town started billing the customers for water and sewers service that was previously provided by your company?
From what you said a minute ago, they started on August 1st, but I don't think they actually sent the first bill out till sometime in September.
And does the town bill monthly? Do you know?
Yes, they would bill monthly
All right.
in arrears.
Now, has your company heard from any customers regarding the transfer of Sapphire Lake's water and sewer systems to the town?
I'm not sure if we have or not. I think that some people have called in, some of the customers, but I don't know I don't know what the calls referred to.
So you don't know if they were calls about the transfer itself or the new rates or about the service?
Not know any of that. Correct. I do not know any of that.
Thank you. If you have an answer, do you know why the company went ahead with the transfer before you came to the commission for approval?
It's been my understanding over the years that historically the new buyer would operate the system so that they can get a handle on what's there and how it works and get any other questions answered.
All right, but your company A&D didn't have any particular reason that you didn't come forward to the commission for prior approval? All right. So what was it that prompted you to file the application for approval on September 28th?
I had all the paperwork filled out with the town of Roslyn prior to July the 31st, and I had asked them to submit it, but they didn't. They told us they didn't get it notarized.
So how did you find out about it? You're telling me that, is it the truth that you're finding out about it is the reason that you now come forward with the application?
No,
You're finding out that.
I had the paperwork filled out well before the closing date. They just
Right,
submitted it.
Right, and neither had, up to that point, the company had not submitted to the commission either. Is that correct?
Would be correct.
So my question is, how did it come to your attention? What made you file with the commission when you did?
My computer keeps muting me. They did all the filing. I didn't send anything in, but I had a whole package ready with them, and I actually had it ready in early July, and they just were dragging their feet, I guess.
So the town filed the current application that the commission has. The town filed that on behalf of the company. Is that what you're saying?
I filled out the application, and then they had to fill out some on it, and they submitted it. Yes.
All right. Thank you. With respect to A&D's applications to transfer its remaining water and sewer systems to Redbird Utility Operating Company, LLC, and that's an application that's presently pending before the commission. Does A&D plan to follow the process and transfer these systems only after customer notice and commission approval is obtained?
As far as I know, that's what Redbird intends to do. Yes.
Well, as our regulated utility, you know that it's A&D's requirement to make sure that these that this process is followed and the commission gets this application and approve it before there's a transfer. So will the company make sure, whether it's you or Redbird that makes the actual file, will you make sure that it gets filed before there's actual transfer of system?
Yes, we'll do that.
All right. Madam Chair, that's all my questions for this witness or the company at this time. You have questions from the public staff. Madam Chair, you're on mute. I can't hear Madam Chair, but Mr. Franklin, are you there and can still hear?
All right, Commissioner Brown-Bland, before you proceed with the public staff, I just want to check in with commissioners to see if any commissioners have questions for Mr. Deaver before we turn to the public staff.
Madam Chair, I had one or two quick questions.
All right, please proceed, Mr. McKissick, Commissioner McKissick.
Sure. Sir, I was just wondering why A&D had decided to transfer its system to the town of Rossman.
They approached me. They approached me wanting to buy it.
They approached you wanting to buy it, I see. And so they were interested in assuming the ownership of the system. And did you make any inquiries related to quality of service that they would provide, as opposed to quality of service, the cost of service that A&D provided in the past to these same customers?
Well, they're running the system in the town of Rockland now, and they don't have any problems out there. So,
okay.
I don't think that they would have any quality problems in Sapphire.
Sure. And let me ask you this. I gather that you're about to transfer other customers over to Redbird. Once that transaction is concluded, will there be any customers left that A&D is providing service to, or will that be a full and complete transfer of all customers and systems that A&D is providing service to at this time?
A&D will have no utility customers after that transfer.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Madam Chair, I don't have any further questions.
Madam Chair, I do have one more for Mr. Deaver.
All right, please proceed, Commissioner Brown-Bland.
Mr. Deaver, you indicated that there may have been, you think there were some customer calls, but you didn't know what they were about. Can you tell us who it is that would receive those calls for the company from customers?
The calls would go into the office, and that would be Patsy Carlin is my office manager, and she's out right now because of some surgery. But we have another girl, Amy. Can't recall her last name.
And they would have made some notations or record of these calls?
I'm sure they would have, yes.
All right, thank you. And I'm sorry, Madam Chair, I'm having difficulty hearing at times, so if you need to check with the other commissioners for questions before I move to the public staff, that's fine.
All right, any additional questions from commissioners? All right, Commissioner Brown Bland, you may proceed with your questions for the public staff.
All right, Mr. Franklin, is that, I think that would be you?
That's correct.
All right. Can you share with us how the public staff and this transfer of Sapphire Lakes water and sewer from A&D to the town, and how it had occurred without commission approval?
Yes, ma'am. So I was reviewing the documents and actually had submitted the filing, the order to provide customer notice. And while I was preparing actually for this staff meeting, which was originally scheduled for last week, I was looking on the Transylvania County GIS system to find where the wells and wastewater system for Sapphire Lakes was actually located. And doing that, I searched under A&D Water Systems name, and I got no hits in the county. And then I searched under the town of Rosman and found numerous properties that had been transferred from A&D to the town of Rosman. So that's when I saw that it looked like it had already been transferred. And then I called the town of Rosman asking about when they started billing. And the deed actually notated the closing occurring on July 31st for those properties.
Would you give me that date one more time? The deed showed what?
The deeds show that the property was closed on July 31st of 2020. And then the town of Rosman told me that they started billing August 1st, but they didn't actually bill the customer or send the bill until the third week in September, because that's their billing cycle. So the customers were actually billed for about 6 weeks, that first bill.
All right, and it's your understanding, as Mr. Deaver said, that the town from now on would bill once a month?
That's correct.
All right, and has the public staff heard from customers regarding the bills?
We have not.
And these first bills went out, repeat that date once more.
I believe she told me August 19th was when the first bill, and then, like I said, they billed the third week of the month, so they would have received an October bill as well, with the November bill probably going out this week.
All right. And I asked, had you received calls from customers about the bill? Have you received any calls from customers in any way related to this matter or the transfer?
No, we have not.
All right. Has the public staff been able to investigate to its satisfaction that there will be no water quality or sewer quality, for that matter, service issues?
We have not done a detailed review because this first step was just providing the customer notice. But so I really can't answer that question at this point. When we submit the order approving the transfer, then I could answer that question better. We'll provide that in the order.
Well, at this point, does the public staff have any concerns regarding the quality of service or any other concerns regarding the transfer of the system to the town?
No.
All right. Is there anything else that you know in terms of my questions to Mr. Deaver a minute ago that you'd like to provide any additional insight or answers to?
No, ma'am. No, Commissioner.
All right. Madam Chair, that's all the questions.
Madam Chair, you may be on mute.
All right, everybody, just bear with me here. We're working the system in the hearing room, and it's just a little complicated when I get muted. All right.
Madam Chair, Staff had one more question. I'm sorry. Mr.
Okay.
Mr. Franklin, is the town operating the system as it is, or constructing a connection to another system or its system?
To my knowledge, it's as it is. It's located about 10 miles from the actual town itself, so they'll be using existing equipment that A&D has currently.
All right. Thank you.
Any additional questions from commissioners of the public staff? Commissioner Hughes? Commissioner Hughes, you may proceed.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Franklin, are you aware of the history of A&D's reporting compliance to the public staff? I'm just curious if they're considered to be up to date on annual reporting and any other reporting that you might have asked them to occur over the years.
Commissioner Hughes, I haven't really pursued that at this point, but to my knowledge, I have not heard of any irregularities or non-compliance with any public staff reporting.
Thank you. That's all.
All right, Commissioner McKissick?
Yes. I guess my question is, are you aware of any water quality issues the town of Rosman has experienced in the past in terms of operating the system that they presently operate today?
Commissioner McKissick, at this time, we haven't completed our investigation to recommend approval of the transfer. So I have not looked into that at this point. Again, this was just to provide the customer notice, but we'll provide that review during our next stage in the approval process.
And one other question, considering the fact that the transfer has already occurred, and this is all being done kind of after the fact in terms of our actions and review as a commission, are there any penalties or potential penalties that could be imposed due to non-compliance by not actually getting the authorization approved by the commission before the transfer was effectuated?
That's not a public staff area. It would be the Utilities Commission decision on what actions they can take regarding that.
Thank you.
Chair Mitchell, if it's at the appropriate time, I have a motion.
Right, you may proceed.
And move that we take this item to executive session.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion that's been seconded that we remove this item to executive conference. I will call the roll for a vote. Commissioner Brown Bland.
Aye.
Commissioner Gray.
Aye.
Commissioner Clodfelter.
Aye.
Commissioner Hughes.
Aye.
Commissioner McKissick. I support the motion as well, and the motion carries. All right, the commission has its minutes of November 9th, 2020 staff conference for approval.
Move approval.
Second.
All right, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, and the minutes are approved. All right, it's my understanding that we have an update from Duke Energy this morning. Ms. Fentress, I see you on camera, so I will turn it over to you. If you would like to hand it off to someone else, you may do that.
Thank you, Chair Mitchell, and good morning, Chair Mitchell and the commissioners. I am here today on behalf of Duke Energy Carolinas and Duke Energy Progress, and I also have with me representatives of those companies. We appreciate the opportunity to appear before the commission this morning and discuss the efforts we are making to assist our customers in making their electric utility bill payments during this unprecedented crisis in our state. With the commission's permission, I can briefly introduce our panelists to the commission, and then we are available for any questions the commission has regarding those efforts at this time. I can proceed if that's all right with the commission.
Please proceed.
All right. Mr. Hatcher, I believe you were on, and I will say our panelists were having a little bit of trouble getting on today, but I think we are all here.
Yes, I'm on. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Hatcher. Can you state your full name and your position for the commission's information?
Sure. So it's Larry Hatcher, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Customer Services.
Thank you, Mr. Hatcher. Ms. Quick, are you on?
Leslie was having some difficulty. I don't know if I don't think she's showing up as a panelist, but maybe as a participant.
Okay. I will move to Mr. Lawrence. Mr. Lawrence, are you on?
Good morning. My name is Jared Lawrence, and I'm the Vice President of Revenue Services and Metering.
Thank you. And I think we will hope that Leslie can get on. And with that, Chair, it's our understanding the commission had some questions, and we are prepared to answer any questions the commission has this morning.
All right, thank you, Ms. Fentress. It was brought to the commission's attention that there may have been an error in notice to customers related to payment plans, repayment plans associated with companies' COVID-19 mitigation efforts. So it would be helpful, Ms. Fentress, if you all could just explain what happened and perhaps why and what the company is going to do to or has done to correct the issue.
Certainly, and I'm going to briefly introduce Ms. Quick. I understand she is available now.
Okay, please do so.
Hey, good morning. Leslie Quick, the Vice President of Strategic Planning, Governance, and Technology in our Customer Services organization.
Great, thank you, Leslie. Mr. Hatcher, can you begin by discussing our communication efforts with our customers with respect to the COVID moratorium that the commission put in place, and then the lifting of that moratorium, and within that context, then address Chair Mitchell's question with respect to communications that could be clarified, I would say.
Sure. So I'll take you kind of back to the beginning and walk through to where we are today, if that's okay. You know, even pre-order, Duke Energy made some decisions to stop disconnections and stop some of the fees that go along with that whole process. And as part of that, we proactively communicated to our customers through a variety of means, through social media, through news releases, through our website, et cetera. So we kind of understood what we were doing and the things that Duke was trying to do to help our customers during this time. Post the order, we continued that process, outreaching to our customers to make sure that they understood, again, that we eliminated disconnections, we eliminated even more fees, and keeping them up to speed on what we were offering as a company to their benefit. In addition to that, we sent out a lot of communications during the summer months on what things that they could do to avoid high energy bills, ways to manage their consumption, etc. And so we wanted to continue that same type of communication as the order was coming to an end. So we did, and we sent out multiple communications to our customers through those same means. We also did a bill insert that let every customer know what we were doing in terms of returning to normal with our billing and payment processes. We sent out emails to customers that we had email addresses to. We sent out communications to customers who were in arrears about our payment arrangements, offering the 12-month payment arrangement and other options if they chose not to take the 12-month payment arrangement. And then we also continue to communicate with customers via our website. So we had a lot of proactive communication to our customers that really outline our offerings, as well as communicating that, we were not continuing with payment fees and those kind of things, late payment fees. So the one thing we did not do, we did not update the disconnect notices And the reason for that was we had a lot of proactive communication. The idea was to get customers to contact us ahead of time so they avoided those notices. But, you know, obviously we have a customer now who received that notice and has some confusion related to that notice. So what we've done since receiving this information is reflect back on our communications and decide, you know, this is the first time, honestly, that we've had this brought to our attention from any of our jurisdictions. But to make sure that we don't have any customer that's confused or not understanding our offerings, and to make sure that we're, you know, trying to minimize any stress to our customers, we've gone back and we're adding a statement to those disconnect notices that provides the clarification on the DPA time frame of 12 months, and also a clarification on the late payment fees. That is in flight as we speak, and we currently expect that to be completed by Friday of this week. In terms of this particular customer, to add a little bit more context, get my notes here. This particular customer reached out to us on September the 18th, requesting a DPA. That DPA, he was wanting the DPA to begin in November. And we couldn't do that simply because we haven't issued the October bill. We didn't know what that bill would be. And you can't really calculate the DPA amount for October without that knowledge. But we did offer him a 14-month DPA that would begin in October. He accepted that. Based on that, his balances were calculated that went out on his next bill. He paid his next bill, and then he reached out to us on, I believe it's October the 19th, to validate that his bill had been paid, and we confirmed that that was the case. I will state that in none of our communications that we received via email or verbal, the comments related to the $300 and us not accepting the $300, we found no reference of that so far in our discovery. So that's kind of a summary of what I know, and I'll be happy to answer the other questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hatcher. I do have a question for you. Has the company been able to identify how many customers received the disconnect notice that referenced the 6-month payment plan?
I would refer to Ms. Leslie Quick. She's tracking that information for us.
Okay. Ms. Quick, do you have a response to that question?
Sure, this is Leslie. Yes, I don't have the exact number of delinquent notices that have been sent, but anybody who would have received that delinquent notice would have received the language that was per the regulations prior to the COVID pandemic.
Okay, and Mr. Hatcher and Ms. Quick, if you can respond, that's fine. But I understood Mr. Hatcher to say a corrected notice has been sent to the customers at this point. Did I understand that correctly?
It's being changed. It'll take us till Friday to complete that change, and then they'll have this.
Trailed off there, but I understood you to say process of making the correction, and it will go out by the end of the week.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Any questions from commissioners for the company?
Madam Chair, one quick question.
All right, Commissioner McKissick.
Yeah, and I guess this would go to Mr. Hatcher. As it presently stands, have you received any other inquiries or complaints from customers relating to this particular notice that was in error? I mean, is this something which a number of people have raised, or is it just this one inquiry that resulted in this investigation that discovered the error in the notice dealing with the disconnection policy?
Yes, so this is the only inquiry we've had of this particular specific issue. We did go back and look just to see what other inquiries we were getting related to DPAs in particular. And I'm proud to say that if you look at our customer complaints for North Carolina for this year compared to last year, we've actually had a reduction of about 70% in customer complaints year over year. And then if you break that down and just look at kind of our return to normal period, as we're calling it, we started on August the 24th in Florida, and we're up to date with all of our jurisdictions. And if you just look from August 24th to today, we found 23 complaints, if you will, that have come to us related to DPAs. And if you look at the specifics of those, let me put my hands on that so I give you the exact correct information. I thought I had that right from. Pardon me just for a moment.
Sure.
Yeah, here we go. So if you look at the specifics of those 23, 48% of those, which would be 11 of those complaints, were related to people wanting modifications to their DPAs. And after reviewing all of those, just about every one of those, we've agreed to the modification. The one that we did not, the customer didn't agree to it, so we couldn't make that modification. 9 of those complaints were related to setups, and what we found on this was some of the customers were actually contacting the staff office. I believe their numbers also on the bill. So they would contact them for the DPA, and then it would be referred to us, and we would create it. Then we had a few more that related to, let me look at here. We had one that we offered the DPA, they didn't like the terms, so they declined it, those types of things. And then we had 9% of those were, they were wanting an initial extension. And again, most of those have been worked through and the company, the customer has received, you know, what they had asked for. So 23 claims out of a little over 3 million customers. So currently we feel, obviously we don't like any complaint.
Sure.
And we look at every complaint, but again, nothing that stands out to us that we have an issue on our communication. That's global. And again, back to this specific claim, this is the only one that we received related to the disconnect notice.
Okay. And quick follow-up. In terms of providing accurate information to customers, you've sent out some revised notice at this time, that's what I understand has been done. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. So when we received this complaint last week, we went back in and basically self-evaluated and looked at, could a customer be confused by this? And obviously the answer is yes, because we've had one that was. So we're adding a disclaimer to the top of the disconnect notice that explains that they can call in and get a 12-month DPA, as well as we're not doing the late payment fees. And that disclaimer will be on those disconnect notices. That will be completed by our IT folks and the printers. We're currently estimating by Friday of this week.
By Friday. Excellent. And last follow-up. Have you instituted any type of what I call internal kind of quality control measures where somebody's kind of doing a double check in terms of reading these things to make sure that, you know, accurate information is contained not only in these disconnection notices, but in any other documents that are being generated and disseminated to customers, so that, you know, it kind of serves as a double check to make sure something like this is captured in the future. Have any internal policies changed as relates to this?
Yes, sir. So as part of this, part of what Leslie's organization does is our consumer affairs organization. We're going back and looking at those communications that we've sent out, anything else that may reflect these types of communications for late payment fees or DPAs, durations. And we're going back through all of those to make sure that there's not something else out there that would be confusing. We did find one thing on our universal bill, for example, related to late payment fees. We're making that modification as well as part of that review. So yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. I don't have any further questions, Madam Chair.
Any additional questions from commissioners? All right, Ms. Fentress, we appreciate you all being here this morning and being available to answer questions. We will accept that the revised notice is going out by the end of this week, and appreciate the effort to get that out as quickly as possible to your customers.
Thank you, Chair Mitchell.
Okay. All right. Any additional business for the commission this morning before we adjourn? All right. Hearing none, we will be adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.